A long time ago, in the mountains of Germany, inside a cave, this huge dragon suddenly bursts out and takes off, flying straight toward the kingdom of Harburg. Next, we see the kingdom of Harburg. Near the palace market, there's this puppet show guy, Victor, and he tells a little girl watching his show that it's a day of mourning for their kingdom, so he can't perform. The girl sees a puppet of Princess Elena in his hand and says she feels bad for the princess. In the next scene, we see Princess Elena of Harburg. She's crying, and her maids are getting her ready for mourning, dressing her in black. Then, the palace chef brings them some special sweets and says he can't believe she won't be with them in a few days. This just makes the already sad princess even more upset. Downstairs in the same palace, princes from different kingdoms are pigging out and joking around. They're asking each other what that dragon's gonna do with Princess Elena. They figure King Philip can't fight the dragon himself, which is why he called them. But they're not dumb enough to risk their lives fighting a three-headed dragon. The other princes all laugh and agree. King Philip, standing by the palace corridor, sees these princes making light of such a serious situation, and he gets really disappointed. He goes upstairs and tells the queen to look at them, calling them all useless cowards. He explains that the three-headed dragon gave them till today, threatening to destroy their kingdom if they didn't hand over their only daughter, Elena. He says he reluctantly agreed for the good of the kingdom and its people, but he thought maybe one of the princes from the different kingdoms would defeat the dragon and save his daughter. His one arm was already lost in battle, so he couldn't fight the dragon, but all these princes turned out to be useless, just eating and chilling, not caring about their sorrow. Soon, that dragon flies to the market outside the palace. People panic, running around scared. The dragon then flies by the princess's window to warn the king, and then it hovers over the palace. Seeing it, those princes who were feasting hide to save themselves instead of fighting. The king sees it hovering there and realizes he'll have to hand over his only daughter today, even though he doesn't want to. So he signals the dragon with his eyes, and the dragon flies back to its cave. Finally, the princess is put in a horse-drawn carriage, and a military unit with music starts leaving the palace. The palace chef, like the rest of the kingdom, is standing with Victor, watching the princess leave forever. After the princess's palanquin leaves the fort, there's no point in those useless princes staying in the palace. So they also get on their royal rides and horses and start leaving the fort to go back to their own kingdoms. Victor really likes the princess and is super sad she's leaving. So when he sees those princes heading back without helping the king, he yells at them, calling them a disgrace to all princes. Those shameless princes have nothing to say to Victor's words, so they quietly leave. But Victor wants to save Princess Elena no matter what. So, risking his life, he quickly goes out and secretly follows the military unit, taking the princess in the horse-drawn carriage. Meanwhile, the poor, sad princess is just thinking that this must be her fate. After a long time passing through fields and hilly paths, the soldiers finally reach the cave on the mountain where the dragon lives. The princess's maids take her out of the horse carriage, and the soldiers tie her to a wooden pole in front of the cave. The maids are also very sad, and to keep the princess from being scared, they blindfold her. Victor, who's already there, is watching all this from behind a rock. During this, they hear the dragon roaring from inside the cave. Hearing its roar, all the soldiers grab the horse-drawn carriage and run back towards the palace. The princess, tied to the pole, gets agitated with fear. The strong wind from the dragon's roar inside the cave blows the princess's handkerchief from her hand, and it flies away. When the handkerchief reaches Victor, who's hiding a short distance away, he catches it and keeps it. Meanwhile, on a nearby hill, a wandering sorceress is chilling with her cat. But when she sees the princess tied in front of the cave and Victor hiding behind the rock, she tells her cat not to make a sound. She says they'll wait and see what happens next. A few minutes later, that fierce three-headed dragon comes out of the cave and moves towards the princess. Since the princess is blindfolded, she can't see it, but she feels the hurricane-like wind from its roar and gets even more scared. Seeing the dragon with its mouth open, standing near Princess Elena, Victor quickly picks up a sword from the ground and, to save the princess, stabs the dragon. This makes the dragon focus on Victor instead of the princess, and it starts moving towards him to attack. Victor stumbles and falls to the ground. Although he knows it's tough to escape this huge dragon, he still drags himself backward to save himself. But the dragon doesn't give up and opens its mouth, moving towards him to swallow him. There's no hope left for Victor. But then, the mysterious sorceress standing on the hill shoots a beam of magical light into the dragon's eyes. This distracts the dragon instead of it eating Victor. After that, the sorceress uses a magical power that turns the huge dragon into a toy puppet. Victor then stands up and picks up the puppet dragon. The princess, tied to the pole, can't see any of this, but she feels that someone has killed the dragon. Just then, the sorceress appears in front of Victor. Victor asks her if she did all this and how he can repay her. The sorceress says it's nothing nothing. She saw he was brave and kind-hearted. She tells him she helped him because he faced the dragon to save the princess without caring about his own life. Vítek insists he still wants to do something for her in return for her help. The sorceress replies that if he really wants to do something for her, he should just keep quiet about everything he saw and heard there. She warns him that if he tells anyone about what happened there, the puppet dragon will turn back into its real form, and then she won't be able to help either the princess or him. Vítek says, okay, he promises. After that, the sorceress turns her cat into a toy and gives it to Vítek, telling him that whenever he's in big trouble and needs her help, he should place it away from him and say he needs help, then wait until night and she'll meet him at that same spot. Hearing this, Vítek takes the cat figurine from her and takes a step towards the princess to untie her. But the sorceress stops him, asking if he also wants to marry the princess and become king, which is why he's going to free her. Vítek says no, that's not it. He loves her, which is why he's freeing her. The sorceress says she's safe now and no longer in danger from the dragon, so he should go home. She tells him the princess will reach the palace a little later. So, listening to her, Vítek starts heading home. Just as he leaves, a prince happens to be passing by. Seeing him, the sorceress hides. Meanwhile, the princess, tied to the pole, yells loudly for whoever killed the dragon and saved her life to untie her and come forward. When the passing prince hears the princess, he thinks this is his chance to prove himself a hero. He's one of those princes who ran away from King Philip's palace instead of fighting the dragon. So greedy to marry Alina and become king of her realm, that cunning prince goes to the princess and unties her and removes her blindfold. As soon as she's free, the princess hugs him and thanks him. The prince then lies to her, saying he chopped the dragon into pieces and buried it to save her. The princess finds his words a bit odd, but since no one else is there, she believes him and asks if he saw her handkerchief there. She tells him her father gave it to her as a special gift. The prince tells her to forget the handkerchief and celebrate her freedom. Saying this, he puts the princess on his horse and sets off for the kingdom of Habsburg. The sorceress is watching all this, but interfering too much in human lives is against the rules of magic, so she stays quiet. On the way, when Vítek sees the princess on a horse with the runaway prince, he's shocked and quickly starts heading towards the palace behind them. He sees the princess and the runaway prince on the palace balcony with the king, who tells his people below that the prince, with his bravery, defeated the three-headed dragon and saved his daughter. Therefore, there will be celebrations in the palace, and as promised, he's announcing their engagement today. The prince, getting this fame for free, is also super happy and tells the public he silenced that dragon with his sword. Hearing all this, Vítek, standing in the crowd, gets disheartened. Because of the promise he made to the sorceress, he can't tell anyone the truth. And because of this, the princess he loves is about to become that cunning princess. Seeing the look of disappointment on Vítek's face, the palace chef asks him if he really thinks that cunning guy defeated the dragon. He reminds Vítek he went behind them too and asks what happened there. Vítek just says nothing, that he got lost. The chef says whatever, but this prince doesn't look worthy of marrying their princess and becoming king here. Vítek replies that according to the king's announcement, that's what's going to happen because everyone thinks he saved the princess. Then, right in front of Vítek's eyes, the prince puts the ring on Alina's finger and they get engaged. This breaks poor Vítek's heart. After the engagement, the prince starts touring the palace with the princess. While strolling, they come to the spot in the fort where Vítek is setting up his puppet show for the day. The prince, showing off, talks rudely to Vítek, telling him to move aside with his puppets for a bit because he wants to show the princess something. So Vítek, already sad, reluctantly moves away. The princess, however, doesn't like how the prince is treating Vítek. Now, that cunning prince goes onto the stage and tries to use the puppets to show the princess how he defeated the dragon and saved her. But the princess isn't interested and leaves. In the next scene, we see the palace chef telling the workers to start practicing making dishes for the princess's wedding. Just then, the prince comes looking for the princess and asks the chef if he's seen her. The chef says no, so the prince moves on. As soon as he leaves, the princess, who was hiding there, comes out and tells the chef she doesn't feel like getting married at all. She reminds him he's known her for years, and if her heart isn't in something, she won't do it. The chef tells her she has to do it because of her father's condition. Meanwhile, the prince comes back and seeing the princess there, gets mad at the chef. He tells him he lied to him about the princess not being there. The chef says she just arrived, but the prince ignores his explanation and tells the soldiers to whip him 10 times. The princess can't object to his order, but now she dislikes him even more. At night, that evil prince uses the puppet stage to act out his fake fight with the dragon in front of the king, queen, and other palace staff, gaining praise from the people. Sitting on the side, the chef tells Victor to look at the princess's face. It looks like she doesn't like him. Victor says they're engaged now, so there's no point in talking about it. The next day, the princess tells her parents she doesn't want to marry that prince because he's cruel and arrogant. The king tells her he saved her from the dragon, so she has to marry him according to his promise, and if not, the public will lose faith in him. Hearing her father, the princess gets disappointed and goes outside, taking off her engagement ring and throwing it out of the palace. A little later, Victor finds the ring and goes to the princess's room to return it. The princess is really happy with his honesty, but she doesn't tell him she threw the ring away on purpose. As soon as Victor leaves the room, the princess cries and tells her maids she threw the ring because she didn't want to marry that prince, but it came back to her against her will. Victor, standing outside the door, hears this, and a glimmer of hope sparks in him. He goes out, and for the princess's happiness, he places the cat statue down and says he needs help. As soon as he says that, the cat turns into its real form and quickly goes to its owner. As evening approaches, we see a poor boy who comes to the market near the palace looking for work. But instead of giving him work, most of the shopkeepers and merchants make fun of him and try to get rid of him. During this, the boy meets Victor. Being kind-hearted, Victor takes him to the palace chef and gets him a job as an assistant there. After this, he himself goes to the place where he first met the sorceress. The sorceress, who's there, asks him why he called her. Victor tells her the princess doesn't love the prince and doesn't want to marry him. He says she's very sad and he wants her to help. The sorceress tells him using magic like that in human lives goes against the rules of nature. She says she can only help the princess if the princess helps herself, so she advises him to go back. Disappointed, Victor returns. The next day is the princess's wedding, so tonight she quietly sneaks out of the palace and gets on a boat in the river behind the palace, escaping into the forest. In the morning, as soon as the news of the princess's disappearance spreads, there's chaos throughout the palace, and the king's soldiers start looking for her in every corner of the palace. On the king's orders, the royal announcer reads the king's proclamation to the public, saying their princess is lost. Whoever finds her will be given a suitable reward by the king. Victor is still sleeping on his puppet stage. Then, the sorceress appears there and takes him aside, telling him the princess is in the forest and to go quickly. So Victor goes into the forest, looking for the princess. He finds the princess asleep near a tree and wakes her, telling her it's not safe for her to be there. He also says everyone at the palace is really worried about her. The princess says she can't go back, otherwise she'll have to marry that prince. Victor suggests she go to the dragon's cave as it's empty now. The princess agrees, but she sprained her ankle, so Victor helps her and carries her into the cave. They talk for a long time there. Victor even tries to make the sad princess laugh by showing her his puppet show and imitating the prince. Happy with this, the princess tells him he seems like a really good person. Victor then asks the princess if she doesn't want to marry this prince. Does she love someone else? The princess says not yet. Hearing this, Victor gets disheartened and tells the princess she can't stay in the cave for long without food and water. So he's going to get her some food and drinks from the palace kitchen. He tells her to stay inside the cave until then. Back at the palace, the prince is furious with King Philip's soldiers and gives them strict instructions that if they don't find the princess soon, they'll all be punished. A little later, Victor comes to the palace kitchen and starts gathering food and drinks. The new boy working as an assistant there sees him doing all this. Out of curiosity, he follows him. There, Victor reaches the cave and gives the princess food and a shawl to keep warm. When the boy secretly sees the princess there, he thinks that if he tells the king where the princess is, the king will reward him, as per his announcement. So he goes to the king's court and tells the king he knows where the princess is. He says she's safe with Victor in the mountain cave, and Victor is taking good care of her there. Hearing this, everyone is shocked, and the prince, filled with anger, asks the king how that puppet guy dared to be with the princess. He says he should be hanged. The king says they'll go meet their daughter first. Saying this, the king and the prince, along with the soldiers, set off for the cave. Luke, who's in the court, tells the boy what a stupid thing he did. He says poor Victor will be killed unnecessarily because of his mistake. The boy replies he thought the king would be happy and reward him for finding the princess. The chef tells him to forget all that and quickly go warn Victor before the king and soldiers get there. Understanding the seriousness of the situation, the boy runs fast and reaches the cave, telling Victor everything. But by the time Victor comes out of the cave with the princess, King Philip, the prince, and his soldiers have already arrived. The prince is really jealous of Victor, so to kill him, he attacks attacks him, and poor Victor is forced to fight back. In their fight, when the prince starts losing, the soldiers at the king's command grab Victor. But during this, the princess notices her handkerchief that fell from Victor's pocket. So the princess picks up the handkerchief and asks Victor how he got it. She asks if he was the one who defeated the dragon, because her handkerchief fell right there. Since Victor is bound by his promise to the sorceress, he stays quiet. But then the sorceress arrives and tells everyone the truth. The princess is overjoyed to learn the truth. But that wicked prince still won't accept the truth, so the sorceress uses her magic to turn him into a puppet. After this, the sorceress returns to her place, and the palace people return to their palace. Now, because Victor saved the princess, and the princess also started liking him, they got married and lived happily ever after. And that's how the story ends. If you liked the video, please like it and subscribe to the channel. See you in the next video.